And it is time for the AEW Collision review here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. Hello, I am Mr. Warren Hayes, and you're about to listen to me talk about the newest edition, most recent edition of AEW Collision, the one that was broadcast on November 11, taped on November 10, and today I am recording this on November 12. So the show was taped on Friday, aired on Saturday, is reviewed on Sunday. Hey, sequences, patterns, look into it. Maybe it means something, or maybe it's just like, you know, how we've always been doing things, at least here, you know, always reviewing on the Sunday. That's a real thing. Anyway, thank you for being here. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, you know, likes and subscribes, all that stuff helps out a great deal. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, well, 5-star reviews and 5-star ratings on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, respectively, help out tremendously as well. What do they help out with? Growth! That's what they help out with. Helps the algorithms make sure that everything is, then they're like, oh, well, if people like this stuff, then we'll make sure that we'll pump this out into the world a lot more. So I'd like that. I'd like to be pumped out into the world. Didn't sound right. But listen, we are going to talk about, regardless, we're going to talk about this show that happened at the Oakland Arena in Oakland, California. A show that, how can I put this? Like it felt more like an AEW show, but lacked the pizzazz or the electricity, maybe. Pizzazz is such a weird word. Why did I decide to choose that? The electricity of an AEW show. Because I don't have, my complaints about the wrestling is minimal, but I thought it was also a little uninspired. I don't know. I'm kind of in the same place as I was with last week's Collision, where I'm like, okay, this show happened. I feel last week there was a lot more. There were a lot more things. Wasn't it last week that there were a lot more things happening? I guess not. I'm just looking over my notes from last week, and there wasn't really all that much stuff happening. I really liked the first match, AR Fox and Strickland, and the cold open and all of that. I thought that was pretty fun, but no, my gut instinct was right. I kind of feel like we're in the same place that we were last week. And I mean, look, I didn't hate the show, but again, I didn't love it. Did I like it? Well, let's find out together. Show started off with Andrade El Idolo defeating Daniel Garcia. I thought this was very good. I thought this was a great opener. Fun stuff, solid, very solid wrestling. I really liked it, and CJ Perry seems to have aligned herself with Andrade El Idolo. He comes out, and immediately after, her music hits, and then she comes out. Am I alone in not really caring about CJ Perry? When is the last time I was interested in anything Lana did? And I don't know what she brings, right? And you can go back to this when we were talking about Miro joining AEW years ago. I was on the same fence with Lana, with CJ Perry. I was like, I don't know what she brings to the table. I don't know what she has to offer this company. I don't know what she's got that warrants her having a spot here. Because she comes out after, and you know how Valley's managers are, right? There's this chemistry and they point and she's doing her own thing and she's on the side and she looks all giddy. She looks like she's just happy to be there. And I don't know what she's bringing to the table, I don't know what she has to offer in this situation. And especially the way the storyline has been brought is, she comes in and she says, I want to manage, I want to bring people to the top. I said, well, where's your track record in AEW, lady? The last time you the last time you managed a wrestler to any level of success, this was like back in the mid-aughts, right? Or even a little before that. Like, that's the last time you were doing anything like on that level. And now, she's like, oh, so I'm like, she does that. She comes out and she cuts that promo a couple of weeks ago, and then she does the one where she's, basically she says, she does a Twitter post where she's like, hire me, anyone, hire me, I'm like, because she does the thing with Action Andrade that doesn't work out, and like, I couldn't give less of a care here. Obviously, we're setting this up for Andrade versus Miro at this point, aren't we? Because Miro is looking at this backstage and he's like smirking and, face palming or whatever. And he's touching the screen. Like, I don't know, I don't know if he, like an electoral map, he's like, why am I not able to zoom in? I want to see in this county, in the, in Oregon, I want, no, there's no way he can, I don't know. It's very exhausting to think of what Lana can bring, CJ Perry can bring, because, twisting and turning your head to try and figure something out. And I just can't, I don't know. I don't know what she can bring to the table. I don't know what she has to offer. And then when she's outside, she's just very awkward. She's just like standing there. Like, there's no interaction. She's not really interacting with the crowd all that much. She looks awkward. And then when Andrade at the end of the match, when he wins, embraces her, hugs her, and he gives her a big ass, like, heartfelt hug, just like wraps his arms around her. And she's like, you can tell she's uncomfortable. There's something, I don't know. It's, it all feels very weird. Not in a performative weird, just a weird. Just like what we are doing here, we are very awkward with. I don't know. But look, the match itself was good. We had Daniel Garcia working the leg. He and Andrade trade suplexes. Garcia lands a brainbuster. Moonsault into the standing moonsault by Andrade, followed up by the figure eight for the win. And look at you. Look at this. For those of you watching, having video right now, having access to the privilege of video. Look at that. Beautiful sun ray seeping in through my blinds. I promise there's two things I got to do to I need to use more. I need to get more you obviously don't see it right now, but I need to get more sound dampening paneling. I already have some, but I feel like I need more. I'm on hardwood floors. I got really high ceilings, which is tremendous to live in, but not always super great for audio. And I gotta get some blackout blinds. Look, this is how life torments me. Anyway, good opener, solid. I liked it. Thought it was very good, very good. Then we had Nick Wayne defeating Dalton Castle. I don't know. This was fine, I guess. I felt it was a little off kilter. Like, both guys were on different levels at some point. Not different levels. Different... they had problems connecting with each other. Like, as two pro wrestlers doing a match together. Not having that not having that specific connection, It's interesting, last week, Dalton Castle was brought in to be a heel for the Acclaim stuff, and now this week he's back to being a babyface. I know a lot of you don't want to hear this, but this is WWE stuff. It's like, and there's a difference between having a guy flip-flop between being a heel and a babyface on a weekly basis and having, local baby faces and local heels, right? Like when, back when MJF was still a heel, he'd go to Long Island and he'd be a baby face, right? Like, that was inevitable. And when the Was it, they were in Chicago, I think, the Elite, when they had that one trios match and they were referencing all the brawl out stuff, right? When they were referencing all the brawl out stuff. I'm still fascinated that there are people who, I posted this on Blue Sky, right? Because I wasn't sure, because it's, you know, it's online. People are online. You never know. Sometimes sarcasm is hard to translate in written text. It takes a certain finesse to do that. And the number of people who believe in earnest that the devil is CM Punk, like in earnest, baffles me. Convinced it's this tremendous work. A work that has the entire locker room fooled, by the way. And that's just not people sitting around going, oh, you know. The entire AEW locker room would be fooled, which is never a good thing to work your workers. Work the locker room is never a good idea. And then you would have worked your broadcast partner. You would have worked your legal team. This guy was fired with cause. Sometimes, wrestling fans, y'all have to step out of your wee bubble a little bit, and not everything is a work or a storyline or a conspiracy. It's nincompoopness. Is that a word? I'm going to make it up. It's silly. It's bozo thought processes. But what if it's CM Punk? Come on. Look, I will eat my hat. Maybe not this one because I really like it. But I will eat a hat if it turns out that CM Punk is the devil and he was never really fired and he's back. And I will compliment this by saying all of this will be a terrible idea. Just a bad idea in execution. Terrible. Like, I know sometimes no one, see, this is the thing that I often talk about. People don't want to be worked. They don't want to. They don't want to be worked. So they come up with every weirdo scenario possible to be able to say, I told you so. I saw this coming. You know, it all boils down to that. So then when you get into a really real life situations involving people who have nothing to do with the day-to-day wrestling business, this kayfabe stuff, when they get involved in this, that should be your first signal that this is not a work. That should be your very first signal. And be like, oh, maybe I need to step out of my, I have to step out of wrestling brain for a little bit and treat this like something real. It would be the worst work of all time. It would be awful. Sent the company into turmoil for the better part of a year. All this nonsense, all this brawl out bullshit, all for the sake of a work. You know, CM Punk deciding that he's not going to show up at the Warner Bros. Discovery presentation. What do they call it? I can't forget what they call it. You know, the conference. Deciding like the day before that he's not going to show up, throwing everything into turmoil. You got to take him off the graphics. We can't mention CM Punk anymore. And the show was based on him, for him. And then he gets fired because he gets into a fight. Threatens the boss. At the biggest show the company's ever put on. And he gets fired with cause. Google it. Google what firing with cause means. That's a stain. It's not good. HR departments and legal departments do not like when a new hire was fired from his former job with cause. Where were we talking about this? We're talking about Nick Wayne, right? Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember. Anyway, Dalton Castle this week was a heel. He suplexes Nick Wayne around. But Wayne eventually fights back, uses a Christian cage as a distraction to his advantage, and lands the Wayne's World for the win. I don't know. It's all right. You know, it's fine. We cut to Adam Page backstage in a pre-tape, cutting a fiery pre-tape promo on Swerve Strickland, and announces that their match at Full Gear is going to be a Texas death match. And I am thrilled to the gills. I am stoked for this. This is Hangman's match. Why wouldn't he do this? Like, this makes so much sense. Like, at first it was like, okay, Swerve, let's have a little rematchy poo. But then Swerve, took it up a notch. Bam! He went all Emerald Lagasse on him. And he decided to get into Page's personal environment. So that triggered Page, made him real pissed off. So it makes sense for him to be like, look, this very violent match, I want to kill you, Swerve Strickland. That's what he said, essentially, in the promo where he says, I'm going to put you in the ground and I'm going to take my son to see you in the grave every November, and my son is going to piss on you. And I'm like, wow, okay. So, everything's been escalating. It's escalated to the point where Hangman's like, look, I want to beat this living snot out of you without any repercussions. So Texas death match. And by the way, I've never lost one of these. This is my match. So I'm like, all right, absolutely. Let's do it. Let's go. This is perfect. It makes sense for Page to be like, I want to be able to put this guy in the ground. I want to be able to do whatever the hell I want with him without any repercussions. Plus, I want to put everything to my advantage so I can win. I have won every one of these matches. It's my match. It's still, the idea here is that he wants everything in his corner. Every possible chance he has to beat Swerve, he's going to take it. And he wants to beat him bad. So, I'm a simple man. Doesn't take much to get me excited. This is good. We get LFI, Daleristico, and Roosh defeating the WorkHorsemen. Anthony Henry, JD Drake. Yeah, fine little match. I had a big control segment by LFI. It was fine. It was a good match. WorkHorsemen fight back with some tag team offense. JD Drake wipes out on a moonsault. Cutter and Topi Conhilo by Dralistico. And Roosh wins with the basement corner drop kick. And let's move on. Like, it's fine. It's again, absolutely fine. Just a good little match, but let's keep the ball rolling. We get a pre-tape by the House of Black. It says that the Kings of the Black Throne are coming for the AEW Championship. Tag Team Championship, excuse me. And meanwhile, Julia Hart is talking about earning a shot at Chris Statlander's TBS Championship by defeating Willow Nightingale later tonight on Collision. The idea being that it's a mini tournament, right? Because per usual, because at Full Gear, it's a three-way. So we're getting the first of the two three-way matches tonight. Tonight on Collision. Last night, I'm reviewing this, it's done, Warren. So we're getting those to set up a three-way. Yeah, look, I'll have a full preview of AEW's Full Gear pay-per-view on the Mr. Warren Hayes show this week. So be sure to subscribe and not miss that. But I think that this little trio setup here, this little three-way dance, this little triangle match that they're setting up here, I think this is a very good way for Julia Hart to win the TBS title without pinning Chris Statlander, leading on to more lengthy things moving forward. But I think this might be in the cards, because Julia Hart, she's over. You know, we're gonna give it a couple of years still. But listen, this, you know, I often talk about the Acclaimed, right, as being a case study for an AEW success story, right? And I think as things progress, we have to start applying this logic right now to Julia Hart, who has been improving. You know, we've talked about how much she's grown. And I think, you know, in the broader perspective of things, this is something that we can connect with you know, AEW success stories. Because look, came in, smiling teenager, doing her thing, you know, with Griff Garrison and Lexis King, doing their thing, and she just grew out of that and created a tremendous presence for herself. She's over, and people love her, and she's been improving. And she's like 20. Is she even 21? No, or she's just 21. Like, she's super young. She's 22 years old. She's super, super young. So there's room to grow here. You know, this is the thing here, is that there is room for her to grow and improve. This is entirely up to her to decide how far she's willing to go, right? But I think she's demonstrating that she understands pro wrestling. She's gotten into it. She has basics. She has a solid foundation. Let's see how far she's willing to go with this. And this is entirely on her now moving forward. You know, I saw a lot of people bemoan the loss of the Bunny this week as she and AEW mutually parted ways. She might be going back to Impact. TNA, right? Gonna ride that wave. Gonna get resurrected. Wasn't she murdered? Wasn't she murdered in like in the Su Yung verse, whatever they call it, the Rosemary verse? I don't remember what they call it. I think she was murdered. You know, not unlike Eric Young, but you know, they brought him back. No sweat. But the Bunny, you know, like I said, a lot of people bemoan the loss of the Bunny, and they're like, wow, you know, she was just starting to improve and so on and so on. She is a veteran. You know, the Bunny has been around for so long in pro wrestling that at this point in her career, 36 years old, almost 20 years in the business, what you see is what you get with this lady. And I know, and everyone who has had this argument regarding whether the Bunny had room in AEW for her will always talk about, yeah, but that hardcore match. Yeah, but the hardcore match. Yeah, but and that's all they can talk about. Because the minute you challenge them, it's like, okay, give me another memorable, good to great Bunny match in AEW. And everyone just draws a blank. Or they'll say, well, she wasn't given enough time, which is fair, which is absolutely fair. And that goes for the entire women's division, right? Wasn't given enough time, not enough opportunities to shine, so on and so forth. Sure, okay. But at this point, 36 years old, 20 years in the business, what you see is what you get. Whereas Julia Hart is still so young and can still pick up so much. Her trajectory can only go upwards. It's entirely up to her. She has the tools. I'm not saying that she's going to be the next Becky Lynch. Not going to be the next Minami Toyota, Akira Hokuto, Aja Kong. she's absolutely not built like Aja Kong. Or the next Io Shirai, you know, It's not going to be any of that. I'm not saying she's going to be any of that unless she chooses to do that. Unless she decides to make it happen for herself, which is possible. Anyway, after this, we're back to the show. I'm going on a lot of sidebars here today. I feel like there's not much really to talk about when it comes to the show. I feel everything is very straightforward, so I guess I'm inventing my own analyses here. I don't know. Just trying to entertain you. Don't be so hard on me. Yeah, they do. Listen, after this, they have Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale backstage for an interview with Lexi Nair, and Statlander is so incredibly awkward. And awkward, out of her element, stuttering, uncertain, insecure. She's not, we say sometimes, promos not their, about certain wrestlers, promos are not their strong suit. It is a problem with Chris Statlander. And it's to a point here that Lexi has the microphone and doesn't know who to point. She's like, oh, is she done talking? And she goes to Willow. Oh, wait, no, she's starting up again. So she goes back to Statlander. Like it's a mess. It's a mess of a backstage thing. And then Statlander leaves, and then, Willow's getting pumped up, and Lexi's like, well, do you want to add something? And Willow didn't have anything prepared because probably she was told by the producers, we're letting Statlander do all the talking. This is all you have to say. And then when we go back for some improv, Willow's like, No, this was a bit of a disaster promo, honestly. Anyway, Roderick Strong defeated Darius Martin. Comes out in the wheelchair and the neck brace, and they do the thing where the inspirational walk out of the wheelchair, and the audience cheers, and all right, listen. I would be so much more into Roderick Strong pulling a Vince McMahon steroid trial type gimmick here. I would be much more into it if it wasn't for all the fucking nonsense that surrounds it. The video, the pre-tapes, the giraffes, all the fucking bullshit. Cause look, I like me an obviously fake injury angle like anyone else. I'm not, Cowboy Bob Orton fucking had a cast on his arm for like 3 years, right? When he was Piper's heater. Y'all remember that? He had that shit for 3 years on. You're like, wait a second. I don't mind it. It's just all the nonsense that surrounds it that makes it annoying. So there's something inherently very pro wrestling about the Kingdom being there and jacking up Roddy to get out of the chair, and he makes it up the stairs, and the audience buys into it. And then Nigel on commentary saying, "Isn't adrenaline like an amazing thing?" And I'm like, all right, look, I can't hate this. I can't hate this. But I do, because everything else stinks in regards. I don't like it. I think look, all right. Anyway, but it's a bit of a nothing match, honestly, with Darius. A little back and forth until Roddy hits a backbreaker, and then Darius gets a surprising amount of offense in here. He gets a lot of offense in here, and I'm like, really? Why not just play off the fact that Roderick Strong has like this, has this uncanny ability to fight through the pain, and look, ultimately it doesn't matter. Knee strike, sick kick, and the end of heartache for Strong. He gets the win here. After the match, the Kingdom dick punch Darius, and they do a spike pile driver. Action Andrade, his current tag team partner, wearing a Hellfire Club t-shirt, FYI. Comes in for the save. All right, listen. That's all I got here. That's all I got. That's all I got for you. And then we get the big announcement. We get Anthony Khan and Bryan Danielson standing side by side. Danielson all patched up, looking like he's just out of a. Danielson looked like looked like a photograph of a soldier from the Civil War. And he's first of all, TK announces that Danielson's going to be at Allin, and I'm like, okay, get out the bubble wrap. You get, but they do mention, and this is important, right? They do mention Tony Khan, and Tony, he is super awkward here. Like he's clearly reading off of a teleprompter, which again is not a problem for me. That's fine. I couldn't give a shit whether it's coming off the dome or whether he's reading off of a script. But he is awkward. He is like prime teeth gritting Tony Khan. You're like, oh, this isn't great, isn't it, Tony? But they do mention that this, again, they're hammering home. This will be, Danielson's wrapping it up after this year. But they mentioned that this will be his last year as a full-time wrestler. So they're not saying Danielson's retiring. They're saying he's getting the Brock contract, essentially. He's just not going to be on the road all the time. He's not going to be in the ring all the time anymore. So that's why Danielson is on this quest. But he's excited that Danielson will be able to work All In 2024 again. Where a show that's still more than 9 months away. Like, you will have the time to have a baby. You could have a baby today. Or wait, I don't know. I'm terrible at math. What am I doing? I shouldn't even do this bit. It's stupid. I'm terrible at math. I think it might be 9 months away, right? November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. No, we're still 10 months away. So you could have a baby. You would have the time to conceive a child, go through the entire pregnancy, welcome it into the world, and have time to go shopping at Baby Gap to get shit for, or Baby Gap, wherever the fuck people buy clothes for their children these days. I don't even think the Gap is a thing anymore, right? Baby Gap, or I don't know, wherever the fuck. Like, your child will be fully dressed. You will have diapers. You will have already been experiencing long nights, sleepless nights because of your newborn child by the time All In 2024 rolls around. Get on it, folks. I want you to let me know about the All In babies. I want you to know. I want you to tell me in the comments. I'm going to have an All In baby. We're going to try, me and my significant other, we're going to try to have a child for All In 2024, Warren. We're starting today. And I will tip my hat to you. I will salute you. I will wish you the best of luck and have a good time in the meantime trying to. It's a bit of a win-win situation here. Working to an objective, but, there's something very enjoyable about it in the process. It's not like doing your taxes. It's not like taking out the fucking garbage. It's not like cleaning the garbage disposal. It's not like washing the shower. No, this is actually, it's actually a good time. So I hope you take advantage of it. Tell me about your All In babies. Not how you made them. That's none of my business. But tell me about them. Let me know when they're going to be born. I want to know how many All In babies we can squeeze in from now to August 24th. I said August 24th. August 2024 is what I'm trying to say. Maybe it is August 24th. I don't know. Who cares? What am I talking about? Anyway, Danielson says he's excited to be there, but that's not who cares? They're talking about the sign-up sheet for the fucking ticket sales that start on December 1st, right? Who cares? I still think that this was a tactic to to get the Euros to buy tickets for this instead of the Germany show that WWE is going to put on. I still think. Anyway. Then Tony Khan announced the Continental Classic, which is going to be, finally, we're going to get ourselves a round-robin tournament in AEW, 12 wrestlers over 6 weeks to crown the winner of the very first AEW Continental Classic at World's End on December 30th. And he revealed that Danielson is going to be the first participant in the tournament. Now listen, let me just get this out of the way first, and then we'll talk about the specifics of the tournament. Because by default, I'm excited about this. All right, but I feel like I have to temper my excitement. But I'll tell you why in a second. You remember, not that long ago, I was talking about whether or not this eye injury that Danielson had was a work or not, right? That he required surgery and that he was going to be back by the end of the year. Oh, by the end of the year, that coincides with Wrestle Kingdom, right? The match that he was supposed to have with Okada. Then last week, the match with Okada is announced at Wrestle Kingdom. So I'm going, isn't all of this very interesting? Isn't this just like coming out of nowhere here? Interesting stuff. The fact that he blames Okada for his 2 injuries, that's good work. It's good pro wrestling work. At the same time, I feel like it was revealed that that Danielson was injured during his match with Andrade. So why would you say that he was injured during the match with Andrade if you're trying to work people into believing that it was Okada? Because the story becoming that every time Danielson fights Okada legitimately hurts him, it injures him, right? And I think that's a good story to tell where Danielson comes in and he's like, look, every time I fight you hurt me. Well, I'm going to hurt you this time. Like, this is good stuff, right? So, I've got all of this. I've got all of this going in the back of my, and I've settled into, no, it's not a work. They said that Danielson wanted to be at Power Struggle last week, but his doctors recommended he didn't because of the recent surgery and the cabin pressure and all that shit. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? All of this makes sense. But then he's like, suddenly, the guy was supposed to be out till the end of the year, and now maybe even next week he's wrestling, or the week after, at the latest, right? And I'm like, what are we even doing? Who is this guy? Well, not next week, the week after Thanksgiving, or during Thanksgiving. Christ, why is everything so hard today? Anyway, so I'm still not 100% convinced that the Danielson injury is not. Look, I'm at the point where I think it's not entirely a shoot. I think there is a work element to it, but I also think there's a shoot part to it. I think the reality is somewhere right in the middle there, where it's a little bit of both. Let's keep going. Let's talk about the Continental Classic. As you know, I am a big fan of tournament wrestling. Love me tournament wrestling. Tremendous fan of the G1. I do daily G1 recaps this year, which was tremendous and a lot of fun, and I will probably do again. I won't be doing daily stuff for the Continental Classic because it's the same thing, But this is interesting here. Look, I'm excited we're getting a round robin tournament. I'm disappointed that NXT did it before AEW, but I have somewhat more confidence that AEW is going to do a better round robin tournament than than NXT, excuse me. 2 blocks of 6 men, right? That are going to be going at it. That'll be exciting over the next few weeks. This is going to be the schedule here. 10 dates. Dynamite on November 22nd, Collision on November 25th, Dynamite on November 29th, Collision on December 2nd, Collision in Montreal on December 5th, then the following night in Montreal on Dynamite December 6th, the Dynamite in Arlington on December 13th, the Collision in Garland on December 16th, the Dynamite at Oklahoma City on December 20th, and the last match of block action will be on in San Antonio on December 23rd. League finals, A versus B block, assuming that's how they call them, December 27, with the winner doing something. With the winner doing something. I guess, no, wait, they're having league finals. So I guess the top two guys, they're having league finals on December 27th. So does that mean that they're doing, A1 versus B2 and B1 versus A1? And then we get the finals for World's End, because that's what they probably, right? That's probably it. So Danielson's been announced to be in this. I hope they come out with a series of very clear rules. This is what I hope, that before we get to Dynamite on November 22nd, we have a Dynamite and a Collision, and then the pay-per-view, right, coming up before we get to the Dynamite on the 22nd. What I hope is we get a full list of participants, like base level, before we even step forward. I hope that's what we get. Just a series. We get the whole list of who's in it. I'm hoping we've got people from outside the promotion. One, maybe two people. That's all I really need. World Tag League is happening in New Japan right now, or is going to happen, I should say. Teams were announced. There's a lot of guys who won't be doing much during that tour. Bring one or two over, right? Let's get this done. I hope we get a clear set of rules. I hope we get to see everyone who is in. We get to see who's in which block. I'd love them to do block announcements. I want that. Look, if Tony Khan wants this to be the G1 of North America, yeah, there's certain cues that he should take regarding the G1. Doing the announcement like he did it on Collision, where it's like, in these great cities, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Minneapolis, Erie, Montreal, so on and so forth, right? That's a G1 thing to do, where they announce the arena and the town, and then you're like, yeah. But you need the block announcements. You need, all you need is like graphic guy, and that's it. Maybe, a 7 to 10 second moment of analysis by whoever is including them. That's it. Or put it on social media. I want to know who's in this. And this will determine how excited I'm going to be. Just as simple as that. That's how I'm going to be invested in this or not. Because everything about this type of tournament, this round robin setup, everything screams WarrenHayes. This is for me. It's not for you. It's for me. But I want to get excited about it. And it's weird because a couple of years ago, I'd be bouncing off the walls right now if AEW did this. Now, I'm not sure. AEW doesn't have my full confidence right now. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it yet. So they have trust to gain on my part. They've burned up a lot of goodwill in my regard. So hopefully we're going to get something good. And basically there's 10 shows, right? Before we get to the league finals. So we're going to get two matches of block. The shows are basically going to be block action moving forward. And I'm okay with that. Like it's fine. And if the idea here, and again, I also hope that these matches are fairly long, or you cap them with a very specific time limit. Like in Japan this year, the G1, 20 minutes. And I thought that was tremendous. Now, I know the TV constraints are different in North America. Cap it at 15. Have a nice, tidy 15-minute round robin, some 15-minute round robin rounds. And there you go. That's all you need. Nice and tidy, good little tournament. Look, I am hopeful. I'm looking forward to it. Am I excited? Let's talk about this after the blocks are announced, because I swear to God, if the blocks are announced, this is the kind of thing that should require, let me start this over. This is the kind of thing where I feel AEW should have it plotted out already. They already know who the winner is. They have it all set up. They know who's going to be the winner. This is what I'm thinking. The AEW of old this would be all plotted out. Because I swear to God, if this tournament starts on the 22nd and we don't know who's in it until the first bell rings, it's a missed opportunity. This is something that will get people like me excited, that we'll get to talk about it, we'll get to analyze it, break it down. This is the kind of shit that's really, really fun about pro wrestling. You look at the brackets, then you start making up predictions, you start coming up with scenarios. You say, oh, this person and that person. Like we do with the fucking G1. And I feel like this is an answer to the lot of us, myself included, who have been bemoaning AEW for having quote unquote lost its way. For leaning a little too much into the sports entertainment. Well, this is a very sports-oriented storyline. I am okay with this. Not only am I okay with this, I'm good with it. I think it rules. I just want to get excited about it. I want to be hyped for it. It shouldn't be like thrown away. If they treat it like they treated the Owen this year, it's going to be a bust. If they jack up the sports entertainment throughout the tournament, it's going to be a bust. But if they treat it like a tournament, if they do give us sports-based stories here, I'm going to be so excited. I'm going to be so thrilled about this. But if they add Roderick Strong and Roderick Strong can compete because, his neck and all this kind of fucking bullshit, well, you can hit the bricks with this. But if you want to throw in the hard hitters, you want to throw in, the shooters, the brawlers, the guys that make it feel special, that make AEW feel special, let's go. Let's do it. And look, hey, we have a nice little relationship with CMLL going these days, right? What about, why couldn't you fly in, I don't know, anyone from the roster? Hey, you can bring in Titan, who is used to the Best of Super Juniors round robin tournament. And maybe he has an advantage because he's done this shit before. I mean, anyone at all. So we'll see. Do you think Tony decided to do this because Danielson's been, egging him to go do a G1, and now Claudio maybe was egging him to do a G1, and he's like, guys, I'll bring the G1 to you. Do you think that might be a response to some requests? Julia Hart defeated Willow Nightingale. Good little match that had Willow in the driver's seat for the majority of the match, showing off her strength. Suplex on the floor by Nightingale. But Julia Hart starts to work the arm so that the Heartless lock can kick in nice and proper. But Nightingale lands a lariat and a spine buster. Hart even tries to get the Heartless on to Willow, but Willow stands back up with her on her shoulders. She lands a pound, a full Nelson slam on top of that. Goes for the Babe with the powerbomb, but it looks weird. I feel like Julia was supposed to do something to counter out of it, but instead she just gets thrown on her ass. Just like, boom, sits down. Like, I feel like Julia was supposed to do something here, but it all ends with the moonsault. It looked weird, but I can't tell you that wasn't the finish. If it was the finish, it's a weird finish. If it's not the finish, then it was weird. But nice little match, and well controlled by Willow. good, properly put together. We talked about Julia Hart later on. I mean, and Willow's not Willow, if anything, is underpushed. That's the thing. If there's anything that you can say, with aplomb regarding the women's division in AEW, is that Willow Nightingale is underpushed. Fan favorite, tremendous wrestler, had one of the best women's wrestling matches in North America this year. Could argue to me that it was the best with Athena. Ricky Starks and Big Bill are interviewed backstage. Lexi Nair, of course, there with them. And, basically this is all being set up, despite the fact that the guys are smug and they don't want to fight anyone. This is here for Lexi Nair to announce to the guys that they are going to be defending the titles against 3 other teams at Full Gear. LFI, FTR, and I can't remember the 4th team. I apologize. But ultimately, it's like this is the kind of setup that I really hate. I find recently I found the 4-way tag matches at the pay-per-views to be a little disappointing. I haven't found them really all that good. They've kind of been low points in the show. The 4-way tag match at Wrestle Dream was absolutely a low point. So, whatever. Powerhouse Hobbs crushes Titus Alexander in a squash. Good to see Titus Alexander getting a bit of national airtime, even though it's just to get destroyed by Powerhouse Hobbs. Paul White joins in on commentary for this so that Don Callis, once Don Callis gets on the mic after the show, can talk a little shit about him. He calls White a stand-up guy, and that's why he came around to help Jericho. May have won the lottery, he says, in the physical size department, but when it comes to brains, and Callis says that he's buried 2 giants in his career. I'm assuming he's talking about Andre and Baba, but he's happy to have Hobbs do the same here to you. And Hobbs comes out to taunt White, who is like, "All right, come on, let's go." But Callis pushes him back, and it was Callis that said, "Go on, get him, Hobbs." And then Hobbs goes in to get him, and then he's like, "No, don't do it, Hobbs." That's a bit of a weird segment. Fine, okay promo. We're setting up the match for Dynamite. I get it. That's fine. Nothing extraordinary, nothing to write home about, and definitely not Don Callis' best work. But good work, but definitely not up there. Then Lexi Nair talks with FTR. Their only goal is to get back the tag team title. So, okay, probably. Anyway, no, I'm not gonna do the bet. Adam Copeland, Darby Allin, and Sting defeated Lance Archer and the Righteous. No big surprise there. Enjoyable, perfectly enjoyable main event. Good for the audience. The baby faces hit all their spots. They played the hits. Audience was happy. I don't think this was a 16-minute, the Collision main events are usually longer. I think this was all right. This was fine. It's all right. It's okay. I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't echo any more or less. It's just like, all right, wasn't bored, but it's match that happened, I guess, and everything was fine and everything connected, and it's fun to see Sting, and people love the Adam Copeland, and they love Darby. They love this trio. They love these 3 guys, and this is of course continuing to set up the match at Full Gear. But I wonder how bad Darby is hurt, because I felt he was a little hindered in this match. Like usually he's a little more nimble, a little more kamikaze. He has the compression or whatever the fuck it was. At some point, it looked like a pauldron. It looked like a pauldron. You know what a pauldron is? Google it, kids. But there's no doubt that he's hurt because he's an idiot. But he seems to be working hurt because he's an idiot. I found that he was a little hampered in this match. He didn't, and maybe it's a smart thing. Maybe he's like, look, I'm gonna go not quite as ham here and save it for the Pape, which is a sound strategy. Don't get yourself more hurt for the bigger match, right? Stinger splash by Sting, followed by a spear by Adam Copeland, got the win. After the match, Christian Cage comes back out with the Patriarchy, as I don't think that's their official name yet, right? I don't think that's an official name, but it's how Nigel McGuinness calls it. Nigel is completely in possession of his role as the shit heel commentator, and he is fantastic at it. The 77 celebration is better for girls line. I'm still stunned that made it to TV. I think it was on TV. Was it during the fight TV? Look, I don't know. I'm stunned. But he's great. He's great. Kevin Kelly on assignment. Excited to see the results of that assignment next week. Nice little two-man table. I don't hate it. I didn't hate this little two-man combo here. You know, delightfully oblivious Tony Schiavone to all this modern lingo and, you know, contemporary goings on. And Nigel McGuinness, vile human, knowing this, tries to put Tony on the spot with a bunch of expressions and thoughts. And then he's like, Tony looks like a goofball. And it's good. What do you want from me? I like it. He's got into his role. It's fine. It's very fine. It's very good, actually. Hopefully you thought this review was very good, because we're about to wrap it up. So that, you know, it's not going to get better than this. We're done. The ceiling's been hit. We are going to be back on Tuesday for the Mr. Warren Hayes show proper. Of course, we record live on Tuesday. Video on demand and audio is available the next day on the Wednesday. I will also be here for the Dynamite review on Thursday, but there will not be a Collision review next week. If I'm not mistaken, Collision is on Friday because Full Gear is on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I'm not gonna do a Collision review and then have everything just like, oh well, you know, ruined and you're going into Full Gear. No, we're not doing. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not. But then I'll be back to do some more Collisions very, very soon. And, you know, or maybe I will. Maybe we'll have a Collision that'll blow my mind and I'm going to be like, look, I have to do some, I have to record something here. I have to do something. Maybe. But look, in the meantime, we're going to end this recording. Thank you very much for listening. Likes, subscribes, and rewards, and likes, and all that stuff, and reviews. And thank you for being here. I'll see you next time.